It's April
What's
Marie
up?
here from aprilmarietucker.com, and today I have a very special guest, and I am actually so pumped to have this man here with me today, and you should be too, because he is really, the rags to riches story that, this is actually like probably one of the most extreme cases of rags to riches stories that I've ever heard on the internet. And this man has really, really turned it around for himself. And what's even more amazing is that he has probably helped the most people on the internet do the same thing with his course. So he's a co-creator of Tube Traffic Mojo, and that course, I mean, I hear success story after success story after success story from that course in particular. So, Mark, really, I mean, I bow down to you, man. I really do. I highly, highly respect you for what you've done,
Thanks.
because you have literally changed a lot of people's lives with, what you and Frank have been able to create and do with the Tube Traffic Mojo and all of that. So, welcome.
Oh, thanks. No, it's pretty wild to look back and think about it. I mean, when we created that and just kind of, the whole purpose behind it really started just to help our team, and it kind of morphed into like this. Well, let's just create a product and sell it, and then it morphed into, hey, let's partner with MLSP and let's sell it with them. We're like, okay, next thing we know, it's just like one step after the other. And so it's been fun. There have been incredible successes that people, I mean, I think one of the biggest successes is a couple of the people that went through our course, they actually started their own social media management company based on video marketing. And I just talked with a guy the other day, and they launched their company 45 days ago, and they already have made like 12 grand in money, in revenue, and they're landing corporate accounts. I mean, it's like crazy, to hear like what people are doing. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I hear it all the time. I mean, I think that's probably my most recommended course out of MLSP. Seriously, it is
Yeah.
an amazing course. And like I was just telling you, Jeffrey's dad actually like has gone through your course, has been watching your videos, and he's in his later 70s and
Wow.
a millionaire.
That's
He is
cool.
a millionaire, but he's
Wow.
fascinated by
Yeah.
internet marketing. So I just thought I would just let you know that. I think it's just amazing
Oh,
what
that's
you guys have
awesome.
done.
It's
Really,
amazing.
it really
That's
has.
amazing.
You've touched a lot of people's lives, and that's got to make you feel really good, especially coming from
Yeah.
where you were not that long ago. I mean, how long has it been since, you really started gaining some momentum in your business?
Yeah.
I mean, a year?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably been maybe about a year and a half, working on a year and a half, maybe like a year and 4 months. And yeah, I mean, it has been a change. I mean, April, I've known you for a while, and I
Hmm.
know we were talking a little bit before, but I mean, there was a time literally I was flat broke. I mean, I had no money whatsoever. And you know that, and because we've worked together on some other things, but I mean, literally, it was flat broke. I mean, it was literally living from like day to day, to pay stuff and put food on the table and things like that. And things have definitely changed, for sure. And I actually have a savings account now, with some good money in it, and it makes it makes a difference. It really does. So
Yeah, it really does. So, I think from when I first met you, Mark, I know because I mentor a lot of people, and honestly, the road is really, really tough when somebody is starting off with zero or very little money. It is very tough, and I kind of I've always been well back when I started, I had a really hard time letting go of money. I had it, but I didn't want to spend it because I was burnt on something. So your circumstances are were a lot different than mine, because mine were just more of the skepticism, the lack of belief, and things like that. You really believed that you could do this,
yeah.
but you lacked the funds to do it. So
Hmm.
why don't you share a little bit of your story, because it is very, very, not a little bit, I'd love to just hear it all, but
Yeah.
it's very, very powerful, and I
Yeah.
know the audience today would love to hear it as well. You just can't get tired
Yeah.
of hearing it.
Well, really, it ultimately came down to was it was either do it or get out altogether. I mean, because literally I was getting to a point where it was I had to make something happen. I mean, I was doing some other, kind of stuff on the side, like some technology stuff. I was working for a top earner in the industry, doing some, internet related stuff for her. I had some other people I was working out with out in California. building websites and kind of helping him with sales funnels and stuff. I was, for if you wanted to consider a job, it was a job. I was making, decent money from it, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. I mean, I wanted to have my own, my own thing, making money based on my own efforts and things like that. And so in the end, work was starting to, kind of die down, and it was like, and I still wasn't making enough to really, it wasn't like full-time work. It was more freelance stuff. And I got to a point where it was like, this is do or die. Do it or get off. Sorry, shit or get off the pot. I mean, really, that's really what it was. It's like time to do something else. And that was the deal. And that's what it came down to. It's just a matter of make it happen, and I had to take the action to do it. And once I did that, we it took off for us, and that's the best way to describe it, I guess. We had our backs against a wall, and it was do or die. Do
Right.
it, or look for something. Go get a job.
Yep.
I didn't want to, so.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate sometimes that we have to get to that point, it seems like, in our life before we actually take some concrete action. But I don't know. I think there's something in like the human psyche where we don't actually tend to take action until our back is against the wall. And for
Right.
me, that's what it was. For Frank too.
Right, and the pain had to be great enough. I think that pain is the ultimate motivator, and it obviously at that point in time, the pain was very, very great for you guys, because I know that you and Frank, are mastermind partners and are in this really together, a lot of it, anyways. But you have separate businesses and things like that. How did you meet Frank? I've always wondered that.
We met. We did a 100-day challenge. It was a blogging challenge. And we actually met through that, and there was a Skype chat group. I think there was probably like 120 people in this challenge, and so there was a Skype chat, and him and I, we would just we would chat in this group, and through that we kind of got to know each other, and we had both been involved in a company at the time, and we knew of each other, and we talked, and then he had asked me a few questions. I helped him on a few things, and then one day he out of the blue made a testimonial video for me, and I was like, oh cool, the blues man, he's a cool guy, and I he was cool, and I saw him really trying to do something, so that's how we kind of connected. And the more we talked, and we started doing like these mastermind sessions with some other team members on our team at the time, our upline, and we realized they were doing something kind of more offline-ish type stuff, and Frank and I we were online guys. We wanted to do online. I wasn't interested in doing like a lot of offline stuff because I live in Chile. I need to do it online because I don't have really any other choice.
Right.
So Frank and I were like, you know what? They can keep doing their thing. That's cool. Let's work together. Let's just start. This is what we want to do, and then let's start going after it. And that's when we really started going and making it happen. So.
That's awesome. So that is how we kind of meet. I kind of met Frank the same way, and then I met you through Frank. So it's interesting how that worked because we were in the top 10 or the top 50 MLM blogs contest together, and I saw him, and I was like,
yeah.
I couldn't believe that he had just started. Honestly, when I saw his blog and everything, I was like, this guy threw his brand together. I mean, he's serious. So I've always been impressed with both of you, really, and especially your story because. You guys really did have like how much between each other to buy like the SEO course that you guys bought?
Yeah.
The ebook.
Well, yeah, we had like I had $7 in my PayPal account and he had $3.50 in his account, and there was a $10 ebook on the Warrior Forum that we wanted to buy, and literally that's all I had money wise. Same with him, and we wanted to buy it, and we're like, oh, this looks really good, and I'm like, I don't have the money, man. I don't. I've got $7. He's like, well, I got $3.50. How about I transfer it over to you, and then you buy the ebook, and then we should have enough to cover the fee to transfer it. And that's like that story is like the most classic story because that's how literally broke we were. We couldn't even afford to buy a $10 ebook, but we made it happen.
There's a lot of people like that right now, Mark, and I'd love to hear you speak to them about that because I talk to a lot of people, and there are a lot of people right now in this economic times that couldn't afford to eat yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, they couldn't afford to put food on the table yesterday.
Yeah.
What would you say to those people? Because you were there,
Yeah.
and, I mean, it was probably hard for you to let go of that money that you had in your PayPal, or,
Yeah.
for MLSP, for example, or anything, at that point in time,
Yeah.
because, you had to feed your family too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, I was there, and I know, when you're in that situation, what happens is that's all you can think about. Is how am I going to do this? How am I going to? And it literally gets to a point where it kind of consumes you. And it's like you don't know what to do. And the only way that I think people can get out of that, because I know I did it, is you've got to throw yourself fully in. I mean, you can't, if you're going to do it, you've got to throw yourself in, like jump in with both feet and go. I mean, there's just no way of getting around it. And I can't say it's easy, because it's not. I wish I could say, oh, just get over it and do something. That's not the case. I mean, I sympathize with people that are in that position, because I was there. But you have to take that and use it as fuel to get out of it, because focusing solely on your problem is never going to help you get out of it. The only way to get out of it is to find a path, find somebody who's gone before you, and you just take massive action following in their footsteps, doing what they did. And if
Right.
you do that, then you can get out of your situation. I'm not saying, again, it's going to be easy, but nothing in life is. I mean, anything worth anything is worth the fight.
Yep.
And you never truly, and I know a lot of people say I'm a very humble guy. You know why? Because I know where I came from, and I know that to get to this point has not been it hasn't been an easy journey, but nevertheless, it's worth it. When you get to it, it's like, phew, it was so freaking worth it. I'm so glad I didn't give up.
Right.
So
Yeah, because you,
that's
you
it.
kind of have to go through some of that suffering. I know I'm always telling people this isn't a money spending business, this is a money making business. But I think for some people, it's hard for them to wrap their minds around that when they're having to pay with money that they really don't have.
Yeah.
So, I know that you've been in that situation, and I just,
Yeah.
what you just said, I mean, it's really, really powerful. And sometimes it's kind of like people have to experience it. But like I said, pain isn't, it has to be great. The
Yeah.
pain isn't great enough if you're not willing to do whatever it is that you take, because I think that's what really
Yeah.
drove you and Frank too, is the
Yeah.
pain, that
Yeah.
is
Well,
enough is enough.
on that, it makes me think of, and I'll tell you this. There's kind of this little parable or whatever, where this guy one time, he's sitting on his front porch, and he's in a rocking chair, and he's just sitting there, and there's this howling coming from the backyard, oh, and it's his dog in the backyard, and all day and all night the dog just sits there and is howling, and anyway, one day the neighbor walks by the front house, at the front of the house, and he asks the guy on the porch, he says, your dog is constantly howling, like he's crying, and what's wrong with him? And he said, well, he's laying down, and he's on a board that has a nail, and it's sticking in his side. And he said, well, if the nail is sticking in his side, and he says, why doesn't the dog just get up and move? And he said, well, I guess it doesn't hurt bad enough. And a lot of times that's really where we got to get to, is it doesn't hurt bad enough. But when it does hurt bad enough, it seems like that's the time when we decide to really take action. So you got to kind of assess it in that way, I think.
Yeah, you just do it. You just get her done. Do whatever it
Yeah.
takes. You never stop.
Yeah, totally.
You
Yep.
know, I think that, because how long have you been online, Mark? No,
It's been probably about 4 years, maybe 4 years.
4 years.
And
Yep.
for me, it took a little bit. Doesn't mean it would take everybody that long, but I had to go through my own journey, my own growth period, and to where I finally got to a point where I was willing to take action. I'd always kept myself in like this learning mode. I was like always learning, never doing. And I finally got to a point where learned enough. It's time to do, and I did. And that's
Right.
why I think a lot of things happen quickly, because I finally got to a point where it was like taking decisive, focused action, and that's what makes it happen. So
Right. Because I know you guys really got really focused, and just made it happen. I that statement that you just said, 4 years, that's actually not a long time, because, from what I understand, it takes usually 5 years to master to
Yeah.
really reach full mastery in whatever profession you're in. So
Yeah.
if I look at your success, you're actually well ahead of schedule because you are in the top
Yeah.
10% of income earners on the internet now. And
Yeah.
to be able to have done that in 3 years, less than 3 years,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's
Yep.
pretty remarkable. It
Yeah.
really, really is.
Yeah.
Especially with our industry when we have 98% of people, uh, well, mostly they quit, but we say struggling. But
Yeah.
especially in our industry, there takes a lot of investing in skill sets and things like that, and really a lot of frustration because it's not the easiest thing that we do here. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
most people would actually rather be underneath a car with a blowtorch than do some of what we do.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So.
that's all about just finding what it is that you love to do. If this is something you want to do. I mean, I had a coaching call this morning with a woman, and her and her husband have a construction supply business or something, and they've had it for 27 years, and it wasn't easy for them to build that business. I mean, no business is easy to build. It takes work, and it's the
Mhm.
same thing here. It just takes good, honest, hard work, to get in there and make it happen. And eventually, if you're doing the correct action, it'll take off. It will.
Right, right. Well, even bricks and mortar businesses, 98% of them don't make it past 5 years.
Yeah, it's true. Totally true.
So, yeah, and then people look at our industry and they want to say, oh, and I'm like, no,
All
no.
right.
Well, go
It's
open up
not
a
just
Google
here,
spot and tell me if you're there in 5 years.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah. You're right.
So,
Exactly.
it's funny, but
Yep.
that's just the way it is. And people have these misconceptions or misperceptions as well about our industry. They think that they can come in and they can make a lot of money really fast. Which, obviously in your case and even in my case, even it wasn't that way. I
Yeah.
probably wasn't really generating any real types of income for at least a year. You know what I mean? And that
Yeah.
was a year of me being full time, really working my butt off, and not letting anything stop me. Getting
Yeah.
focused on my business and stuff. So same
Right.
thing.
Totally.
So Mark, let
Yeah.
me ask you this. We have you as a speaker this year at Live the Dream, and
Hmm.
I am really, really excited for what you guys have to share this year because I really do love your training, your SEO tactics and all of that stuff with YouTube. It's all really, really awesome. What would you tell people that are watching this right now, just one really, really good reason why they need to get to this event? What would
Yeah.
you tell them?
Well, for one, I'm flying in all the way from Chile, and it's like a 20-hour flight. I mean, I've got a lot of flying to do. Number one, uh, there's people like myself who are coming from far away to come to this event because I know the benefit of being at a live event and what it does and what it can do for you. There's just something, it's very difficult to describe the effect that a live event can have and why it's so important that you get to these because there's something magical that happens at them. And again, it's hard to put into words, but they literally can cut your learning curve by 6 months to a year because you get around people that they've done what you've done. They've gone the path, and when you can actually sit there and talk to them face to face and say, hey, I've been doing this. I'm kind of not, it's not really working very well for me. What do you think I can do? I never thought of that, and it's like that happens all the time. I mean, the last event I was in Las Vegas in May, I mean, I got some nuggets there that I never ever would have gotten if I hadn't gone. I never would have gotten it. So it's like it's an absolute must to get to these events because they will have an impact. And when you have a lot of the speakers who are going to be there and the people at this event who are some of the #1 marketers in their specific niches in each category, you want to be there. I mean, you want to be there and you want to take advantage of it and get around those people and rub shoulders and talk, and it just makes all the difference. It's hard to explain. I wish I could, dump into everybody's head exactly what I'm trying to communicate, but getting to these events is critical, absolutely
Right.
critical.
Well, it's life changing. Don't you
Yeah.
agree? I mean, it really
Oh,
is.
no doubt. Yep.
I don't
Totally.
think I would have met you and Frank if I didn't go to Live the Dream too. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw me in that, I mean, I was kicking butt. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But that was
Yeah.
after I went to live the dream too. And I think
Yeah.
for me, it was, I can do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got to connect with people. And I knew right then and there, I'd made the decision after that event. I said, I can do this. These people,
Yeah.
if these people can do it, I just met them. I
Yeah.
can do this. So I made it up in my mind that I was going to do this. And
Yeah.
I was going to be awesome, you know, doing awesome. I was going to be awesome on the internet. And, you know, I think when you're shaking their hands, it's like, it's different when you see them, you know, on the screen. It's just, they're not real. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then when you
Yeah.
get to see people in person, it's like, wow, these are real people. Like, you get to
Yeah.
connect with them. So,
Totally.
yeah, yeah. So it was really great having you on, Mark. You
Yeah.
guys, seriously, I hope I can get Frank on over
Yeah.
there in Germany, see if I can get him on with me. Would love to have him on. And then I mean, you just amaze me. Yeah, everybody says you're so humble, but the thing is that you just, you know, most importantly, are just so
Yeah.
motivated and determined and persistent. And, you know, I love coming and listening to your videos. Your presentations are very clear and concise, and your trainings and things like that. So I really appreciate you coming on with me, Mark. I really do.
No
You,
problem. My pleasure. It's always fun. I appreciate it when people ask me to do these, and it's a lot of fun. It's very humbling too. So
it is, and I can't wait to see you at Live the Dream. Everybody
yeah, it's
needs to
gonna
get to
rock.
Live the Dream. Get your
Yeah,
ticket.
get to leave the dream for. You got to get there. It's just gonna be an incredible time. I'm looking forward. It's gonna be in San Diego. Before I moved to Chile here, I lived in San Diego, so I'm gonna go back and hang with my brother. My dad's coming out, so it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a good time.
Heck yeah,
So,
I can't wait. I've never
yeah.
been to San Diego. I hear it's
Oh,
beautiful. I hear the
it's
weather's
gorgeous.
awesome.
It's gorgeous. Gorgeous.
That's
So
awesome. So I can't wait
yep.
to meet you guys and give you a big
Yeah,
hug and you know
it's gonna be
keep up the
awesome.
great work. Mark, you
Yep.
look fabulous by the way. Just
Yeah,
wanted to add
thanks.
that. You really do. You look really good. And I'm sure
Been
you're gonna
working hard to get healthy, so it's been good.
Yep, yep. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Mark.
All
Bye
right.
guys.
Thanks, April.